Welcome back to our channel. If you're hyped for The Bear Season 4 or need to catch up on the wild Chicago kitchen chaos, you're in the right spot. Today, we're diving into Season 3 of FX's intense drama, where Carmy, Sid, Richie, and the crew are battling to keep their fine dining dream, The Bear, alive. So grab a drink, get comfy, and let's jump into the heat of the kitchen. We're back in Chicago right after Season 2's Wild Friends and Family Night, where Carmy got trapped in the walk-in fridge. This episode's quiet, almost no talking, just vibes and flashbacks. Carmy's prepping the kitchen, his mind racing through his past, training under big-name chefs like Daniel Boulud in New York, Rene Redzepi in Copenhagen, and Chef Andrea Terry at Ever in Chicago. We see him working with Luca, a chill chef, and getting chewed out by his toxic ex-boss, David Fields, who ran a brutal kitchen. Flashbacks also show Carmy with his late brother Mikey, sister Natalie, Sugar, and ex-girlfriend Claire hinting at old wounds. In the present, Carmy's out of the fridge, leaving a voicemail apology to Richie for their blowout fight. He also says sorry to Sid for bailing on the team during opening. The episode's dreamy, setting up Carmy's stress and the restaurant's shaky launch. The Bear's about to open for real, and Carmy's going full perfectionist, aiming for Michelin star status with daily menu changes. In the morning, Carmy is already in the kitchen, deep in his usual intense prep mode. Natalie shows up and she notices a new list, Carmy's list of non-negotiables. It's filled with strict rules and expectations for how the kitchen should operate, clearly reflecting the high-pressure vision he has for the restaurant. Not long after, Uncle Jimmy, the restaurant's main investor, comes in. He's visibly annoyed and starts criticizing how expensive everything has gotten. He thinks Carmy's pushing the budget too far and questions how any of this is supposed to make a profit. Then Sydney walks in and Carmy offers her a partnership deal, saying they can push each other and build something truly great together. Richie eventually shows up and things between him and Carmy are still tense. The two start arguing about the non-negotiables list. Carmy stands his ground, insisting that these rules are essential if they're going to run a world-class kitchen. As more of the staff arrive, including Tina, the discussion shifts to Carmy's plan to rotate the menu daily. No one's exactly thrilled, and the mood in the kitchen gets more uneasy. Despite all the tension, the team eventually gets to work and starts prepping for service. The atmosphere is still shaky, but the kitchen keeps moving. Later, Carmy has a moment with Marcus. It's about his mom's recent death, and while Carmy doesn't get overly emotional, he does reassure Marcus that he's there for him. Marcus gives a moving eulogy at his mom's funeral, talking about her love for flowers and listening to people. Back at the Bear, things are messy. The daily menu change is already starting to take its toll. Carmy is fully locked into perfectionist mode, obsessing over every detail, and the rest of the team is struggling to keep up with the non-stop changes. Uncle Jimmy drops by again, and he complains that the costs are through the roof and says they're spending ridiculous amounts of money. Meanwhile, Richie, frustrated with all the chaos, decides to write his own version of the non-negotiables list, but Carmy insists it's a waste of time. They already have a list in place, and it's not up for discussion. Natalie crunches numbers and tells Carmy the food waste from his tweaks is killing their budget. Tina's struggling to master new techniques, and Sid's stuck playing peacemaker. The crew's exhausted, and tensions are sky high. The episode ends with a montage of total chaos in the kitchen. Broken dishes, spills, cuts, people yelling, and everything moving way too fast. You can feel the pressure piling up. Sydney moves into a new apartment. She's getting her life more settled outside of the restaurant. Richie spends some time with his daughter. Sydney meets Chef Adam Shapiro. At the Bear, Sid tells Carmy that communication in the kitchen isn't working. She points out that he keeps making changes without telling anyone, and that it's messing things up. She tells him it needs to stop. Meanwhile, Natalie and Richie talk about his daughter. Richie admits he doesn't really know how to be a good dad. Natalie gets a call, where the Tribune is sending someone to take pictures of the Bear for an upcoming review. It means a critic has already been there, without anyone realizing it. Sydney helps Marcus clean out his mom's house. They open up about their families. Both of their moms have passed, and they realize they're kind of in the same boat emotionally. News spreads that Chef Terry's closing Ever, shocking everyone, which leads to a bigger question. Is fine dining dying out? Richie calls Jess, an Ever staffer, to catch up, hinting at a connection. Meanwhile, the Bear's getting ready for a Tribune photographer to come in. Marcus gets inspired and comes up with an idea for a violet-themed dessert. Tina pulls off a cauliflower dish with Sydney's help. It turns out great and gives Tina a boost of confidence. John Cena shows up as Sammy Fack, buffing the floor and joking about taunting people, his term for trolling. Nicholas Marshall, aka the computer, arrives next. He's one of Uncle Jimmy's associates, and he's there to get their costs under control. He starts digging into the numbers and looking for ways to cut back on spending. Finally, the Tribune photographer shows up for a review shoot, but they can't recreate a duck dish because Carmy scrapped the recipe. If you're loving this breakdown of Season 3, hit that like button to show some love and subscribe to our channel for more recaps like this. Alright, let's keep rolling with Episode 6 and see what's next for Carmy, Sid, and the gang. Episode 6 flashes back to Tina's past. She's working in an office, nothing flashy, but it's steady. Then one day she loses her job, no warning, just gone. She is struggling to pay bills with her husband, David. Tina starts searching for work. She prints out resumes, goes door to door, dropping them off anywhere she can, but nothing comes through. Eventually, she walks into the beef, and that's where she meets Richie and Mikey for the first time. She sits at a table and Mikey notices her crying. He walks over and they start talking. She opens up about her situation, how she lost her job, how she's trying to support her kid, and how she's willing to do anything as long as it means putting food on the table. Mikey listens and offers her a job as a line cook. Sydney meets up with Adam Shapiro. He tells her he's planning to open his own restaurant and wants her to be his CDC, chef de cuisine. On top of that, he offers her a partnership in the new place. Over at the beef, things are running smoothly. The kitchen's not in chaos, service is moving, and Ebra and the guys are doing fine. Natalie's getting ready to have her baby soon. Even with everything going on, she's still handling all the restaurant's errands and shopping by herself. Meanwhile, Carmy is sketching out the next day's menu. Sydney tries to pitch some new ideas, but he shuts them down without even looking. It's frustrating. Natalie goes into labor while she's out shopping. She's stuck in traffic, having contractions, and can't reach anyone. In the end, she calls the one person she didn't want to, her mom, Donna. At the hospital, Natalie is with her mom as they wait. Donna starts talking about her own childbirth experiences, and they end up reflecting on the past, the good and the painful. Eventually, Pete arrives at the hospital too, and the three of them are there, waiting as Natalie gets ready to have the baby. Sydney is deep in thought. She's having flashbacks of how Carmy's been treating her lately, and still hasn't decided whether to stay at the Bear or take Adam Shapiro's offer. Meanwhile, Richie gets a wedding invitation. It's for his ex-wife Tiffany and her fiancé Frank. Carmy invites Sydney to the funeral service forever, a final service before it closes. He also almost calls Claire, but chickens out. Later, Carmy talks to Uncle Jimmy, who tells him straight up, if the Tribune review is bad, he'll have to cut funding. Things are tight. After that, Jimmy gets in the car with the computer, his associate, and it becomes clear that Jimmy's in financial trouble. In the finale, we start with a flashback. Carmy's first day at the French Laundry. While prepping a meal, Chef Thomas Keller gives him some tips. Back in the present, Carmy, Sydney, and Richie arrive at Ever for its final dinner. The restaurant is closing and a bunch of top chefs are there, including Chef Luca, Garrett, and Jessica. Richie heads to the kitchen to help out one last time with Garrett and Jessica. Meanwhile, Carmy and Sydney both get lost in their own flashbacks as the other chefs talk about their careers and struggles. Chef Terry gives a speech, saying what really matters in a restaurant isn't just the food, it's the service and taking care of people. Then Carmy spots David Fields, the abusive chef from his past. When Fields goes to the bathroom, Carmy follows and finally confronts him, but Fields doesn't apologize. He says he doesn't care and even claims that his abuse made Carmy a better chef by getting rid of distractions. Later, Sydney and Luca visit the kitchen. Luca says he's staying in Chicago for a while, and Adam reminds Sydney about his partnership offer. Carmy also has a talk with Chef Terry. She says she's done with the non-stop pressure and just wants to end her career on her own terms. She wants to actually live her life. After the dinner, Sydney throws a party at her place for the crews from the Bear and Ever. But while checking her fridge, she finds a 4-star review from the Tribune about the beef, and it sends her into a panic attack. She walks out overwhelmed. Meanwhile, Carmy's alone on the street. He checks his phone and sees missed calls from Uncle Jimmy and the computer. He finally sees the Tribune review, and while we don't get to read the whole thing, his reaction says it all. And that's the intense roller coaster of The Bear Season 3. Now here's a spicy question to stir things up. Was Carmy's obsessive perfectionism the key to The Bear's potential success, or a recipe for disaster? Drop your thoughts in the comments and we'll catch you in the next one.